morning on Moment to Learn with Lola. I welcome everyone. I am Lola Odeyale, the icon of fragrance. We have been looking at succeeding at interviews. If you have missed previous ones, you can get them on my YouTube channel, Lola Odeyale, icon of fragrance. Succeeding at interviews. I've looked at definition of interview. I've looked at different types of interviews. Why do we even embark on interviews? I've also talked about that. And I remember saying that we should not restrict interviews to job seekers only. Even businessmen and women, entrepreneurs, you will have those opportunities to actually defend your proposals, and it will come in a form of interview. So it is actually for everyone, not just for job seekers only, not just for few people or the young ones. Times we may have to face with defending our business plans, our business proposals. You want to apply for a loan and you're asked, come and tell us why you need this loan, what you want to use it for. All these are forms of interviews. And we have looked at, for those that are actually, writing the resume, we have looked at the things that should be in a resume. And like I said, the resume is not just for job seekers. Even you as an entrepreneur, you need to have your resume. Things that are very important that should be in a resume. These are things that you might even need. Somebody say, okay, I want to know what this person has done or what this person is doing. There are things that have to be there. We have looked at important skills to have for an interview: punctuality, professionalism, communication, listening, asking questions, confidence, and we've looked at tips for successful interviews. That is where I stopped the last time. Tips for successful interview. I talked of punctuality. I talked of thorough preparation, knowing your onions, knowing exactly what you carry. Competence. I talked about making good impression. I talked about positive attitude. I'm going to continue today on tips for successful interview before we go to some questions that we find. Now, the last tip I'm going to be talking about is communication. Communication, very, very important. Every time, aside even interviews, we have reasons to communicate. We have reasons to, talk to somebody and we are getting feedback from that person. Communication is very key, even in relationship. So in interviews, communication is a very, very essential tip that one needs to know and master to be able to succeed at interviews. Communication, that is, conversing, exchange of ideas between one person and the other. And communication can be verbal or non-verbal. Most of the time in interviews, the non-verbal communication is even what people read, the interviewers look at more, because you could be saying something and your body language is saying otherwise. So it's very important that you maintain good communication skills, both verbally and non-verbally. The way you sit is very important. If you sit like you are tensed, you are sending, an information, exchange of information. That's communication. You're sending an information to the interviewer. Body language is very, very important. Building rapport. Yes, this is an interview, but you also need to at least build rapport. Smile. I talked about that in making first impression. Smile. Then make eye contact. Yes, make eye contact, but do not stare. When you're communicating, you need to make eye contact, but do not stare. It's very important. I'm saying this because when you stare, it's not even polite when you just keep staring at someone. So it's very important that you manage, and if you don't know so much about communication, please, like I said, in the time of preparation, we need to learn. We keep learning, and as we learn, we keep growing. You can go and learn about communication skills. I'm sure I will touch on that when we are looking at soft skills. Okay, so going onward now, we're still looking at succeeding at interviews, and I'm going to be looking at some questions that we usually get, or some questions that usually come up at interviews. There are a lot of questions, so it's not restricted to the ones I will talk about. So I will just talk about few questions, and I know that when other questions come to us, they could come, in this manner or in different manner, but at least the few ones we talk about here are ones that are very, very usual, and we should be able to learn and improve ourselves in those areas. So what questions do we get when we are confronted at interviews? Okay, the very first one I have here is, tell me about yourself. Or somebody could say, an interviewer could say, can we meet you? And most of the time you hear all sorts of responses. When you are faced with that question, the way to approach it is to say a little, say a little about your current role. Now, I tell people, when they say, tell me about yourself, or can we meet you? My name is Dr. Lola Odeyale. I am a finance and management consultant. I'm just giving an example now. I will still say other things. But imagine somebody says, can we meet you? Then you go, my name is Dr. Lola Odeyale. I am a female. I am dark. I am, these are things that we can readily see, or even if there are things that are in your resume. So it's always good. Say a little about yourself. Say a little about your current role. Talk about your scope. Tell us your recent accomplishments. What have you done recently? Who are you? It's just like saying a little about your profile. Talk about how you got to where you are. Mention previous experiences that are relevant to the job, relevant to the company that you are applying for. Now, yes, somebody says, tell us about yourself. They want to know all about you, all that you have been able to do that will make them employ you, or that will make them say, oh, we want to have you on board, either to do this business with you or to work with us. Because when you don't highlight those recent accomplishments, when you don't highlight the things, the value that you are bringing to the table, then having you employed can be a little difficult. What value do you carry as a person? Don't forget, I talked about knowing your onions. Not just carrying that certificate, but knowing so well of it. So when somebody says, can we meet you? Then you go by saying, I am Dr. Lola Odeyale, a finance and management consultant. I have been able to do this. I've been able to do this. I've been able to do this. I was able to do this. If employed, this is what I can do, I have done, I have the potential and the capacity to do. It's very, very important that when you're asked that question, you say a little about yourself, your current role, your previous experiences that are relevant to the job, and mention your recent accomplishment. We're going to continue on questions that usually come up at interviews. Join me next time on Moment to Learn with Lola. I look forward to seeing you, and remember, follow me on my Instagram handle, Icon of Fragrance. Have a wonderful day.